بارئ الخلائق أجمعين باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الخلق وأعز المرسلين حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد اللهم صل وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المنتجبين سيما بقية الله روحي وأرواح العالمين له الفداء. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أرسله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله ولو كره المشركون. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Dear mu'mineen and mu'minat, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Congratulations on this day of Eid, on this day of return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our efforts, our fasting, and appreciate our prayers and make it deserving of His appreciation so that we may have our siyam and salat accepted and our Eid, a real Eid. According to Amir al-Mu'mineen salawatullah wa salamu alayhi, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad, he says, إنما هو عيد. Indeed, it is Eid for those whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has accepted their siyam. لمن قبل الله صيامه وشكر قيامه. Who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepted their siyam and their prayers in this month of Ramadan, the staying up during the nights of Qadr. If they were accepted, if there was sincerity in it, then it is Eid for us, in which we come and expect the jawaiz, the gifts from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on this Eid, inshaAllah. And then he says, in continuation of that beautiful hadith, he says, وَكُلُّ يَوْمٍ لَا يُعْصَى اللَّهُ فِيهِ فَهُوَ عِيد. Any day that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not disobeyed in is a day of Eid. The reason the Imam makes that statement is the basic definition of the term Eid. The term Eid in Arabic comes from the term or from the root Aud, Ain, Waw and Dal. And Aud has to do with return. And Eid is a day of return. We are returning to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. We belong to Him and we return to Him. Whether we like it or not, we are returning to Him after death. But are we heading in that direction now? Or are we heading, wal-ayadu billah, in the direction of shaitan, in the direction opposite? And if that is the case, whether it is a day of Eid or not, for us, if I am not, God forbid, if I'm not turning towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then it is not Eid for me, neither today nor any day. And if I am in that direction, if I am heading in the right direction, and I'm staying and abstaining from sins, staying away from sins, then any day I do that for myself, it is a day of Eid for us, for anyone. Every single one of us, we have to pay attention to this part. There is a level of spirituality and forgiveness and mercy for everybody. And that is what we call al-hidayah al-amma, the general guidance. It's for everybody. For everyone, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala creates, He guides. Then there is a further guidance. On the day of Eid, we say, الَّذِي جَعَلْتَهُ لِلْمُسْلِمِينَ عِيدًا. You made for all the Muslims Eid. And therefore, on this day, there are certain level of mercy and blessings from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for everybody. And therefore, we congratulate everyone. Yet, there is something more specific and a special gift for those who are in the right direction, for those who are in the path of purification, for those who are doing the tazkiyah. In both Surah Al-Shams and Surah Al-A'la, we recite them in Salatul Eid. It's recommended. Both of them, they have emphasis on the concept of tazkiyah, purification. We need to make sure that we are purified. In Surah Al-Shams, we say, after Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala swears by those things that He swears by, 7 ayat, 11 items, He swears by those things, وَالشَّمْسِ وَضُحَاهَا وَالْقَمَرِ إِذَا تَلَاهَا, and all the things that He swears by. Then He gets to the nafs, وَنَفْسٍ وَمَا سَوَّاهَا فَأَلْهَمَهَا فُجُورَهَا وَتَقْوَاهَا. Then He says what? قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ زَكَّاهَا. Victorious is he who purifies his nafs. Victorious on a day of Eid, we want to be victorious, yes? We don't want to be losers. We don't want to be وَقَدْ خَابَ مَنْ دَسَّاهَا. He is a loser, him who betrays his nafs. It is a betrayal of nafs to go against our fitrah. It is a betrayal of nafs to go against the teachings and the discipline of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is against our nafs. That is khayba. That is in fact a grave loss, a great loss. And we need to make sure we are not doing that. Instead, we are amongst the qad aflaha. And it is whom they purify. This is the real Eid. A real Eid is a day that we stay away from sins. A real Eid is a day that we gain nearness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. A real Eid is a day that we gain more spirituality in our salat, in our zakat, in our salatul rahim, in all of these things we are intending when we are trying to keep, contact family members, which is a great deed on Eid. And we need to contact them. Part of that, the recommendations of the day of Eid is to do that. Our intention should be gaining qurb ilallah. Niyatul qurb, gaining nearness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is what a real Eid is. A real Eid is a day that one feels like they are walking towards the court of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is why in the dua that is recommended to say when you're coming for Salatul Eid, there is a dua which is recommended to say when you are approaching, when you are getting ready and coming towards Salatul Eid. This dua tells us literally what we are doing. In this dua we say, Allahumma من تهيأ في هذا اليوم أو تعبأ أو أعد واستعد لوفادة إلى مخلوق رجاء رفده ونوافله وفوائده وفضائله. Oh Allah, some people on a day like today, they are preparing themselves. They are having a ghusl or shower, wearing perfume, beautifying themselves, wearing good clothes for Eid, وفادة إلى مخلوق, to go towards a makhluq, a creature, someone who you created. Often people, when they want to visit a king, a prime minister, a president, somebody of a status, and they want something from them, they get ready, they prepare themselves, they get dressed, you wear the best suit that you have. And so they go in hope that they would get some gifts from him, some givings from this person. Oh Allah, today I am getting ready to go to none but you. You see, we are coming to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, wanting what? for your gifts, Ya Allah. What are the gifts from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Some people stay within the material stuff. They want certain, and I guess children mostly do that, and I hope we don't stay children as, as we grow older. Children, on the day of Eid, they expect, AD. They expect the Eidiyah. Okay, you have to give them that money. They want that. Children on the day of Eid, and there's nothing wrong with it. That's what they are. They are children. That's what they expect. They expect the material stuff. They're not familiar with the spiritual stuff. So they want that stuff. They want the gifts. They want the toys. They want I don't know, perhaps some tablets or whatever it is that nowadays they expect. Before they used to be a little more basically reasonable and more easygoing. Now they expect a lot more. The standards are a lot higher, which is okay. I guess they're born for a different age than ours. This is what Amir al-Mu'mineen salawatullah wa salamu alayhi says. He says, don't judge your children as you were yourself, because they were born for an age different to yours. So within reason, we should be accepting of some parts of it, not when it becomes extravagant. Inshallah, we understand that. However, as adults, as we grow older, we want something different. So I shouldn't be stuck on cars and houses and, I guess, mortgages and these things. Yes, maybe if I'm, even for the single ones, maybe in terms of having a wife, if it is for the sake of getting qurb Allah, I want a wife to complete my religion, for example, that is okay. If somebody has that intention. Otherwise, we should be asking for big things for hereafter. And the biggest thing that in this dua we ask is to be forgiven. Is if I have had any shortcomings, Ya Allah, you have given us this month of Ramadan. If I came short in anything in this month of Ramadan, it is the day of Eid. You forgive me. Oh Allah, I know that I did not do what I could have done in this month. I know you gave me a month where I could breathe tasbih. I sleep worshipping. Anything that I do is multiplied, yet I did little. Oh Allah, with your forgiveness, you forgive me on this day of Eid. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He forgives us all on this day of Eid, so that we are heading in the right direction, in the path of purification, inshallah. We ask Him to make us amongst those who listen to what's said and follow what's best. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد صدق الله العلي العظيم. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين، ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الخلق وأعز المرسلين حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد. اللهم صل على محمد المصطفى وعلى علي المرتضى وفاطمة الزهراء وخديجة الكبرى والحسن المجتبى والحسين الشهيد بكربلاء وعلي بن الحسين زين العابدين ومحمد بن علي الباقر وجعفر بن محمد الصادق وموسى بن جعفر الكاظم وعلي بن موسى الرضا ومحمد بن علي التقي وعلي بن محمد النقي والحسن بن علي العسكري والحجة القائم المهدي الإمام المنتظر صلوات الله عليهم أجمعين. اللهم وال من والاهم وعاد من عاداهم وانصر من نصرهم واخذل من خذلهم والعن من ظلمهم وعجل فرج آل محمد وانصر شيعة آل محمد وأهلك أعداء آل محمد. اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات، تابع بيننا وبينهم بالخيرات إنك مجيب الدعوات إنك على كل شيء قدير. عباد الله اتقوا الله وتزودوا فإن خير الزاد التقوى واتقوا الله لعلكم تفلحون. Dear mu'mineen and mu'minat, brothers and sisters, once again, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Congratulations on this very auspicious occasion of the day of Eid, Eid al-Fitr. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us be amongst those who purify and gain more of the provision of taqwa. أوصيكم ونفسي بتقوى الله فإنها زاد المبلغ. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us gain more and more of the provision of taqwa. And may He help us maintain what we have earned in this month of Ramadan and maintain the doors of hell closed for us and the doors of heaven open for us, inshallah. One of the most important concepts on the day of Eid is the concept of zakat, which is the charity. We have an obligation, which is zakatul fitra, and that is a wajib part. In fact, in a spiritual sense, your fasting is not accepted until you pay the zakat, the zakatul fitra. And that's in the spiritual sense. Jurisprudentially, you don't have to do qada, you don't have to do kaffara, but in a spiritual sense, it's not accepted. If you want your fast to be accepted and your month to be completed, you need to pay your wajib zakat. But that is an absolute minimum. That is a minimum zakat and charity. Again, when we speak of the day of Eid, it's a day to return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, a day to purify. If I want to purify, if I want to return, if I want to be on the path towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, on the path of ascension, I cannot be ascending with weights weighing me down. If you know some bird, imagine a bird trying to fly, and they put all these weights on it. Can the bird fly? If they chain the bird with some heavy weights, the bird cannot fly. If it's light enough, if the weights are not so big, it might fly slowly. And if they're very heavy, the bird will not make it. It cannot fly. End of the story. Our soul wants to gain closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is not created so that it gets stuck to this dunya. The more weights are on us from dunya, the slower we can fly, or possibly we cannot fly, we cannot ascend. Wal-ayadu billah. Therefore, we need to get those aghlal off us, those chains off us. We need to get those weights off us. And that is why the concept of zakat is so much connected to the concept of salat. Because salat is the path of ascension. And without zakat, that ascension cannot happen. If one does not purify from worldly attachments, they cannot come up and ascend towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we're not speaking of the physical sense, please understand. Murdam az hasrate fahme durust. If we understand that it is not physical, what we're discussing here is not physical. What we are saying here is that spiritually our soul wants to ascend. Spiritually our soul wants qurb ila Allah. And therefore it can only happen if we detach from this world. And that is why it is so important, besides paying your wajib zakat on the day of Eid, that you become generous. And that generosity applies to everyone around you. You might say, well, I give to my family. Well, that is beautiful. In fact, part of the sadaqat, if somebody carries gifts to his children, it is like someone carrying food for the poor people. This is the same in the hadith. I'm not saying it from me. There is a hadith that says that him who carries gifts to his home, to his ayal, is the same as him who carries food to the hungry and the poor. So that is one of the sadaqat. Giving gifts to your family, to your wife, to your children. That is part of it. Your relatives, al-aqrabun awla bil ma'ruf. If you have relatives that are needy, they are the first that you have to give. If you have relatives, in fact, that are needy in terms of they are poor, by the definition of poverty, they are poor, you can go and give them the zakat. You don't have to put it in this box. You can go and give them the zakat yourself directly. Zakatul fitra, you give them. But that's one side. You can put in the box zakat for the poor ones and give your family as well, because this is a day of generosity. You want the fawaid and fada'il from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you have to act the same way. You have to say, Ya Allah, I am giving, you give me. And again, we don't want we want the bigger things. Depends on where we are. We want the bigger thing. Ya Allah, I am detaching. Bring me to you. Get me closer to you. Ya Allah, it means nothing to me. It's only means for me to make my day-to-day transactions in life. It's not for me to basically hoard it and keep it. I don't want to keep it. Let's have that mentality on this day of Eid. And on this day of Eid, let's be as generous as we can and make sure that we are more concerned about giving than taking. Even in the sense that, buying things for food and basically having sweets and all of this is beautiful, but be careful. We don't want to do one step closer and one step backwards. If we do israf, that's ma'siyah. Yes? And ma'siyah does not go well with return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes? كل يوم لا يعصى الله فيه فهو عيد. So inshallah, this day we are generous, and at the same time we stay away from wastefulness and from israf and tabdir. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to assist us in this day and on every day from today to detach from this world and to gain qurb to Him through purification, spiritually and financially. We ask Him to make us amongst those who listen to what's said and follow what's best. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. وَالْعَصْرِ إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.